Call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Showalter.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Howard.
Here.
Redlin.
Here.
Thompson.
Here. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Anybody signed up for public comment today? Okay. No presentations or proclamations, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have A, 4/18/22 Commission meeting minutes and the appropriation ordinances of 2022-09, 2022-09A, and 2022-P09. Do you have any questions or comments on those? Not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Showalter,
I'll second.
a second by Commissioner Redlin. Any other further questions? Roll, please.
Myers.
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Redlin.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to formal actions, the mobile food vendor ordinance. I think this was just kind of a cleaning up a couple things that we had found last time. I looked through it, looks like they were taken care of, and it looks good to me. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments or discussion regarding the food vendor ordinance that we may have missed? I have nothing.
Good.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve if that's something you want to do.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Showalter,
Second.
a second by Commissioner Myers. Any other further questions or comments? Roll, please.
Redlin.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to B, purchasing policy. Go ahead and let Kent talk to this one a little bit.
The city of Goodland, this was one of the things that, a set of administrative policies that, the interim administrator, Charisse, had presented to the commission last summer. And, it was actually, asked about for something more formal, from the commission, a while ago. So, finally got the, staff got through this and is presenting this. This basically just sets up the guidelines for how purchases should occur. It doesn't mean that there won't be, you know, if something is an oddball item or an unusual item, we could vary from this in order to, in a couple different ways. If it's an unusual item, bring it to the commission when it's not, doesn't meet the amount, the limits that are set as far as the amount. I mean, it could be $2,000, but it could be an unusual item, and we'll still want to bring it to the commission. On the other hand, it could also be a regular item that we regularly purchase, and it could be more than $15,000, but we won't bring it to the commission because it's already included in the budget. We've mentioned it in the budget, and it just happens to be more than $15,000, or it's something that we need to take care of quicker than can go through a formal bidding process if we have vendors already set up. And it's with that system. That often happens with stuff that happens within the utility departments, whether it's electric, water, or sewer. Obviously, you want to keep like materials in kind. So often that limits the number of vendors or the number of options you have in order to purchase from, in order to match the rest of your equipment. So it may deviate from the policy, and I'll probably skip to deviating from the policy from saying it, but this sets limits for how we approach things, both from the department head level, from the city manager level, and then what comes to the commission. And then how are we going to approach getting either quotes or bids and go through the process to have that bid come to the commission where it can be formally approved. That's basically the guidelines that this purchasing policy sets out. And if you would like changes within the policy, that's not an issue. If there needs to be different limits, lower limits or different limits, that's not an issue. This just presents a guideline for how we're going to proceed. And both for myself and most of the department heads, we'd rather err on the side of getting more quotations or getting, if we can, or having it bring to the commission if there's time and it's the right process to work out. We'll err, even if it's a little bit less than the amount stated, we'll bring it to the commission. So, but this sets the guideline and for how we'll go about acquiring the items that we have. So, are there any questions, concerns, comments, or complaints?
Have the department heads had a chance to look at this and agree with the conditions set within?
Yes, they had it for several weeks. We didn't have much comments on it. They just want to follow a process, and they'll follow that procedure.
I know this is,
Neil, you want to say something different, or Ken, or anybody have any issues with it? No.
I know this is something that I kind of wanted to have done since I've come on board. And I don't think, reading through it, I don't feel like it's probably much different than what already happens now.
Right.
But it's, like I said, it is good to have something put in place that we can refer to for things. The only thing that I kind of wondered about when I was reading through it is right now we kind of have there's a local business preference in here, but we always kind of, I don't remember what it is, like 5%, if it's like the local bid is within 5% or something of a non-local bid, we usually prefer local preference. I don't know what you guys think of that, if that's something we need to actually try to get put in here, if that's a percentage you like, a different percentage. If you just want to leave it the way it is, written in here, it shows that we can prefer the local business, but I think it just says only in the event of a tie, not necessarily even if they're close, but not quite the top bid.
And I know there was an issue on a recent bid, but involved KDOT dollars, I believe.
Yeah.
I was involved there, but you say local bid, Spore or Land Development actually owns land inside the city of Goodland. Is that right, Mary? I'm pretty sure is that property in the city?
I don't know.
Okay, I'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure they own property. If
Pretty
it's
sure
not
they
in,
do.
it's abutting the city.
You
city
talking
boundary.
about the property out by KOA?
Yes.
That's
So
inside
so what's
city limits.
considered, so just as a thought, what's considered actual local, to have a good definition of that, so.
There's those type of issues that come up, if it's just a property owner within the city or it's a resident within the city. But there's also issues on certain types of contracts, whether it's KDOT or the FAA or, federal rules or state rules. Oftentimes it excludes local preference, or it makes it much more difficult in order to have that on those type of contracts. So
But I do remember that was the issue, the deal with the KDOT one.
that becomes an issue.
Yeah.
So,
What's been the standard practice in the past as far as percentage? Do we have anything that we've followed as a general guideline, or?
They've always done 10%, but you gotta remember 10% of 40,000 is a lot different than 10% of 800,000. There's a big difference there.
And obviously, there's a certain number of products or bids that local preference on.
Will apply, but then there's others that there's really no local option.
Hmm.
It's right there, right next to it, it abuts it, but either way.
We can give them a request for annexation, so.
There we go. So that's something you want to tackle right now, some sort of local preference? Do we want to leave it as the way it is and something we can address later if we feel there's a need?
I think my preference would be to leave it as is now and tackle it later if there's a need. You know, there's so many different moving pieces to the bids and the things that are gonna happen that I think until there's an issue, maybe I like the way that's written. If it's a tie, it needs to go to the local business. But
And on a specific invitation for bid, you can set it out as an additional criteria. You can state that we will include a local option.
Yeah.
Percentage, you know, if it's pertinent.
if it's close, I think it needs to go local, but I don't know that you can put a number or percentage on that.
Yeah, and I like that. I might be better to do it that way. That way we can kind of control, you know, if we're gonna know roughly what size dollar amount of a project we're gonna be looking at, we can kind of determine ahead of time if we wanna offer a, you know, 5% preference on a $40,000 project and not do it on a $400,000 project, you know, or how we wanna do it. But- Any thoughts down that way?
Sounds good. Well, we're shopping local, but I understand that sometimes it's not always the case.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the policy?
Not for this side of the table.
So I thought it was real well written. I liked it. I think it covers everything pretty well. Kind of what, like I said, what we're already doing and kind of what we would like to see. So I will go ahead and make a motion to approve the purchasing policy.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Howard.
You're actually motioning to approve the resolution.
The resolution, yes, sorry. Resolution number 1586, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Second by Commissioner Howard. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Redland,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Okay, down to C, Planning Commission applications. We have one for Dennis Neven.
We finally have a third applicant. I don't think Dennis is here tonight. For the planning commission. And it is presented in your packet, and this will allow us to have the planning commission meet, because they will have quorum, then they'll have 3 members of the 5 if the application is approved. And that would be good, because we have a variance request that City Hall has received all the application materials as of the end of last week. So it would be good to get that scheduled, as well as the KOA campground has some additions, and that needs to go through the planning commission as well, just as a review. So
Okay, well, I thought the application looks good. So I know I'm excited to try to get that board moving as well. You know, it's an important board that we need that's been sitting empty for way too long. Anybody else have any other thoughts on the application?
Good to be. Time to put them to work.
Yep, looks good.
Motion that we approve Dennis Needham's application for the commission, planning and commission board.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Showalter,
Second.
a second by Commissioner Myers. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Showalter,
Yes.
Redland,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Okay. Discussion items, none. We'll move on to reports. City Manager Kent, please. Got a whole list of things here.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, the cleanup went well last week. I guess I'll deviate from that before I get into the home demolition. But Kenton, do you just want to say a couple words regarding how cleanup went last week?
Sure, it went pretty good, really. I mean, I know one group made it clear back, we double checked and made sure one side made it clear through town, the other group we didn't make all the way back through town, but just to double check. But we didn't get any calls I know of saying that we missed any, so we must have did pretty good, so.
And the volume was,
It was significantly more this year than it was last year, I can tell you that much. So, if it gets any bigger, we might have to go 3 days again.
any estimate on how many truckloads we took to the,
Usually the landfill keeps track, they haven't gave me that info yet.
That
I can
number?
get it for you, so.
okay.
But a lot of tree limbs, a lot of tree limbs was in metal, so. That was probably the most of it, so.
As part of that, the city crews went, and there was a property at 326 Sherman that the town and the city had received a quitclaim deed for. The people had basically abandoned the house, but they ended up giving us the quitclaim to it. City crews went over there on Friday to clean up the property, the outside of the property, and also the loose material inside the property. They did a pretty good job. There was crews, all the crews that were involved in cleanup took care of that property and made it significantly better.
Took down the fence, and there was a large deck in front, and quite a bit of material left on the property. And but now the property is, all the utilities have been detached from the property, I believe. I don't know if you've gotten the water meter out yet, Neil, yet or not.
And the gas company still needs to disconnect the gas from it. But we have sent out notices to the two different companies regarding home demolition for that property, because it's not a house that can be rehabbed without a significant input of money, so. And even then, I don't know. But it's a small house and it shouldn't cost that much. But you should receive a couple bids for that work at the next meeting, so.
I did drive by over the weekend, and it's very impressive, the fact that you guys got cleaned up out of that yard. I will say that.
Yeah, if you saw it beforehand, the before and after pictures are quite significant, so. Just wanted to mention, well, I guess I'll ask the building official. He's been contacted on a number of other properties. He is working through them at this point regarding other properties that are of concern. So he is working through probably 9 or 10 other properties at this point. I was talking earlier today. So we don't have funds to handle that many additional homes, but as far as cleaning up the properties. It got warm, well, just for a little bit. And people got out of their houses, took a look around, and then gave us a call, so. And that's made Jeff's plate a little bit larger at this point. I just want to mention the animal pound contract. I was contacted by the animal control officer. That the pound contract, it's actually a contract with both the county and city. And it was signed back in 2010. And there hasn't been really any changes to it since then. So that probably should be a topic of discussion at the future city-county meeting, just to make you aware, or I was asked to make you aware. So, have a couple of the current construction projects. 17th Street project and also the airport runway project, and I will ask Andrew with EBH to provide a short update on those two projects.
Well, Commissioner Showalter, we talked about it, didn't we? We opened pavement and that Friday, I think, at about, it didn't quite get to us, but, I'm sure everybody's driven by that, seen that progress. They've got everything removed and dirt's cut down, and now the crusher just showed up to town because they're gonna take some, concrete that was down there, from 17th Street, and then also some from the city piles that has not been crushed. They'll crush that, haul that back and use that as base, so. That one's moving along, but obviously at a standstill right now. So, same with the airport. All of the asphalt pavement's completely gone, from the airfield. So they have actually started, we call it manipulating the base. They're using those millings, mixing it up with dirt and cement to create the base. They began last week, ran out of cement powder and got about half of that phase one, which is the entire west end of the project. They got about half of the base work done on that, and obviously we have to wait now until it dries up a little bit before they start again. But that one's moving along. There's a lot of work that you don't see that's clear down on the east end. They're doing quite a bit of dirt work down there because the ground does have to be built up a couple of feet. But yeah, as far as those two, they're going pretty smooth, and yeah. Well, I say they're going pretty smooth. So on 17th Street, we started digging, removing, and found a foundation in the middle of 17th Street. From what we understand, and these foundation blocks were 2 to 2.5 feet wide, 3 feet deep. There's tons of old gas lines. What we found, or what we've come to the conclusion of, is if you look at old pictures of Goodland, I don't believe 17th Street went straight through. But there was also an old locomotive turntable there for the railways that would come into town. I think there's one still there existing, but there was another one that sat over by 17th Street. And we believe that's what we pulled out because you could see the arc that the foundation made going through 17th Street. So, something kind of interesting,
Yeah.
historical that we found. But anyways, yeah.
Great. Anything else?
Would like a couple other things. The FAA has required us regarding a couple different grant projects that we're going to be going after. They have asked us to send out, as part of that, a RFQ for airport consultant services. We currently use EBH as our airport consultant, and in fact they have a long history of working on the airport, and they have a specific engineer that's tied, that provides us basically the expertise and the background information that we need in order to pursue these different type of grant projects, and also provides assistance to the airport board. But the FAA every once in a while requires an RFQ for airport consultant services, and apparently our time has expired, so we need to go through it again. So we'll be sending out a RFQ, and this is in order for us that a couple additional projects regarding acquiring snow removal equipment and also the snow removal equipment storage facility that would be located at the airport. For those two items on the airport plan, we'll need to have an update airport consultant process complete. So we will do that and send it out here shortly, and then we'll be coming back to the commission. So, any questions or concerns regarding that?
Do you know how often that is supposed to have been done?
I
think it's per project, because these two weren't on the last RFQ that we did. So I think it's by the projects that we do.
For the actual, yeah, since this suddenly raised up into the criteria, because I know it's been on the AIP before.
It has, but it's been down.
It's
It
been
wasn't
down.
specifically listed on the last time that we did the airport consultant selection. So I believe the project we're doing now, plus the extension, and I don't know if there was one other one in there, but yeah, I don't believe the snow equipment was on there, so.
So it was one of the federal rules. And we need to follow those rules in order to get the money. So it's usually a good idea.
It's usually how it goes.
If we wish to get the funding, I guess, yeah.
I do want to thank members of the electric department and also a couple other members of our city staff. Neil and Don went down and helped with Sharon Springs with their tornado a week and a half ago. So the electric crews, it was well covered in the newspaper, but you know, the electric crews were there. There was also a KMEA crew that came over from Dayton, and then a Garden City was called as well, just because it would have taken significantly longer for our crews to finish up. But our crews were down there for about 20 hours that weekend, and I'd like to thank every member of city staff who ended up responding down there, helping out that community, so. And then I included in your packet item on a COPS grant. That is a process where, and I'm on the wrong sheets. The deadline for the grant application is in June. So I just wanted to include in the packet as part of the information. That would allow us to put in an application and be able to have quite a bit of grant funding for an officer position with the police department. So it's not forever. I mean, it's for the first 3 years. There can be a renewal, but I haven't seen that as often happen with the renewal. But at least the first 3 years, there's significant funding for an additional officer position. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, and then probably have a little bit more discussion about whether it's okay for our staff to submit the application and see where it goes. So,
So basically, this would be adding an additional officer. to what we
additional
have.
officer, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with her, it looks like a great grant program. It would be good to take advantage of, for sure, if we could.
Chief Hayes, did you have anything else to say besides what I?
No, that's pretty much it. It is renewable after the 3-year period is up, so. And if I read it correctly, it covers salary and benefits for that time period, or a percentage of, I should say.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not entirely so, but it's a good chunk, so.
Yeah, I think that'd be worth looking into further. Yeah. I'll look in a little deeper and come back and tell us exactly what the plan might be with it.
We will do that. We'll probably have a little bit more discussion next time before we would actually, we would have the first meeting in June as well, because the deadline is on June 9th for the first part of the application. And then it's later in June is the full application is due. But, so, it would be within the next meeting or two to get your formal support for the staff to submit the application. That's all I have, unless you tell me differently.
Do you have any questions or comments? Thank you, Ken. We'll move on to the commissioner reports.
We'll start right here to my right with Commissioner Myers.
Nothing at this point.
Mr. Showalter.
Pass along a citizen, comment. I got a message the day after the utility crew went down to Sharon Springs, and they said it was a godsend to see the, City of Goodland trucks come up over the hill and come down to Sharon Springs. So just to pass along that, their citizens are reaching out in appreciation. So thank you.
Commissioner Redland. Commissioner Howard.
Nothing really, just like to thank all the city employees for everything they do, all of them, and it's nice that we're able to provide services to other communities when we can, in times of need.
All right, and Mayor's report. I kind of want to jump on those sentiments. I think it's, consistently you guys go above and beyond your normal duties to help out with whatever needs to be done, and that's very greatly appreciated by not only us, by surrounding communities. We helping out Canareta with some stuff, and Sharon Springs, and you guys just do a great job, and we really do appreciate that. I know, Jeff, you got another certification recently. That brings up to 3 certifications now. You're mowing through those very quickly, and you're doing a great job. So thank you for everything you're doing. I just want to kind of quickly say I had the opportunity over the weekend to go to Manhattan for a couple of days and attend the Governing Body Institute and Mayor's Conference this last weekend, which was, about as exciting as you think that sounds. But, there's a lot of good discussion, and it's just good to know a lot of the other towns, regardless of the size, are, fighting the same battles we are over here, We have the same problems, same issues we're all trying to fight through, and so just know it's a struggle for everybody everywhere for what we're trying to get done right now regarding, budgets and then availability of things to be able to buy, and it's getting tighter and tighter right now, but overall, it was a very positive experience, and I'm glad I got to go. And I told Kent, and I'll tell Mary, they did hand out this very awesome governing body handbook that I know we got a couple, but it'd be awesome if these guys could each get a copy of this, because it is a fantastic resource for us to have. So that's all I have. If you don't have anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Howard.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Redland. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.